All right, so now we're going to move into the lightning talk part of the evening. Hope that you all enjoyed your dinner. So first, I'd like to introduce Henry Ajder, who's inspired me a lot through his extensive journalistic reporting and writing on deepfakes. Henry, which, standing right here with turtleneck, is a globally recognized advisor, broadcaster, and speaker working at the intersection of AI and society. A leading expert on synthetic media, Henry's research has shaped global understanding of generative AI and virtuality. He advises organizations on the opportunities and challenges these revolutionary technologies present, including the European Commission, BBC, and the Partnership on AI. Henry has led groundbreaking research and initiatives on synthetic media at organizations including MIT, Witness, Sensity AI, and Metaphysic AI. His work on deepfakes and generative AI ethics has influenced international legislation, cybersecurity policy, and corporate AI strategy. Henry presented the BBC series, The Future Will Be Synthesized. Let's give a warm welcome and round of applause for our first keynote speaker.
Thank you, Cassidy. As I said, hearing that read out every time never gets less awkward. So 10 minutes isn't long, so I'm going to jump straight into this. And today, I'm excited to be talking to you about generative AI and the openness dilemma. So to start, what is generative AI? Again, you've all been here all day, so you've probably got some idea, but it's a term that's become a bit of a buzzword, particularly over the last year or so. How I think about generative AI is typically in terms of AI that can output entirely new pieces of synthetic content. And also that content is generated particularly by tools or kind of discrete algorithms. We're not talking about rich content experiences, we're talking about kind of more singular outputs in a certain form of media. And then finally, we're talking about something where beyond that initial prompt description or creation, the human is out of the loop at that point. You can maybe adjust the weights, maybe you can adjust some of the parameters, but it is fundamentally an automated process. This is distinct from synthetic media, which is the umbrella term that this conference has been about today. We're just talking about AI being used to partially or entirely generate synthetic content. And that can be, again, images, videos, text, audio, XR, so extended reality experiences, and also deepfakes, which a lot of people now typically refer to as malicious uses of synthetic media. So generative AI sits within synthetic media as a subset. And again, generative AI has become a term that everyone's talking about nowadays. The hype train has left the station, although based on how good this is, maybe it shouldn't have. But you might be thinking, have we seen this before? Is this really so groundbreaking and, advanced? Have we not seen technologies like Adobe's Photoshop released in 1990? And again, you can see how good it's getting now in 2021. Have we not seen these kinds of digital technologies transform society and we're all okay? And indeed, society already seems quite synthetic. Here we've got Oliver Reed in Gladiator on the first face-swapping scenes after he died during filming. This unappealing cheeseburger still is quite unappealing, but slightly better. Again, due to a lot of touching up of the images. Celebrities, commercial photography, and indeed the computational photography on everyone's smartphone, as well as social media filters, have completely transformed society and the way that we consume media. So what is really new? What is different this time? And I think this image alludes to one of those key aspects, which is the speed of the change that we're seeing with artificial intelligence in the generation of synthetic content. Now, one of the key areas here is realism, right? This is about viscerally creating content, or creating visceral content rather, which was just not possible before without hours and hours of painstaking work by experts. On the left here, we have Deep Tom Cruise. This is a project done by a VFX artist called Chris Ume, which does include some manual kind of Photoshop work, but most of the magic comes from the algorithm. And on the right here, we have images generated by Stable Diffusion, by Stability AI. These are all non-existing people. But you might notice, if you've heard of some of the other these people do not exist images generated by NVIDIA's StyleGAN, these images do not follow the same kind of static telltale sign profiles that those images do. So the power and realism of these algorithms is significant. Other point is efficiency. So again, here on the left, we have Princess Leia in, I believe, row 1. On the left, there is the output that was generated by Disney and its team of experts over months with hundreds of thousands of dollars of investment. And on the right, we have something done on a gaming PC in a matter of weeks by one person using an open source piece of software. We also have here Varley. This is Microsoft's latest voice cloning model, which only needs 3 seconds of data to get a voice clone of an individual. So we're talking about significantly higher quality outputs being generated with much, much less data. And then finally, and I think the most important, is accessibility. This has become, over the last year, such a hot topic because it's now been in people's hands, on the phones, in their pocket, on apps, or on their desktops. And again, ChatGPT and Stable Diffusion are two of the best examples of this. ChatGPT reached 1 million users in a week. It's unprecedented, more or less. And this version here, called Diffusion B, is a version of Stable Diffusion I can run on my laptop, purely on the processors on that laptop, due to the model being pre-trained. So accessibility is fundamentally the game-changing aspect of how synthetic media is emerging in society and changing the landscape of our digital world. So, generative AI's tug of war, and if you'll forgive the now kind of dated Squid Game reference. How do we develop and release these technologies? How do we think about open v closed approaches? Now, on the left here, we can see Stability and Midjourney. These are two text-to-image models with a very open approach to how you can use and access their tools. In the case of Stability, they've open sourced their entire model, so you can build on it, you can fork it, you can put your own data sets through it. OpenAI is a kind of the middle ground. They have some prompt restrictions, they've done some kind of cleaning of their data. And then we have Google and Meta at the moment who are taking a very conservative approach to how they publish and release their tools. So what are some of the motivations to publish things in a more open, or develop and release things in a more open strategy? And here is Emad Mostak, that's the CEO of Stability. So commercial reasons, get something to market quicker, and provide more capabilities for users to differentiate yourself from other competitors. Who doesn't want more powerful software? Second point is collaboration. Maybe in an academic environment such as Oxford, or in creative industry communities and maker communities online. Being able to share and openly access these models allows you to experiment and build and change things and customize them for specific content and advance the intellectual space surrounding the technology. And then finally, we have a philosophical reason, right? A fundamental belief that this should be decentralized, it should not be held in the hands of a few people, but this should be for everyone to be able to access. Why should we close it? Well, this rather unpleasant LinkedIn advertisement, I think it gives us some kind of a clue, which is that when these models are released in radically open ways, it means misuse and harms can be scaled on an unimaginable level compared to previous technologies. This is something we've seen in the image abuse space consistently, where open source tools have been weaponized, put behind user-friendly apps, and have scaled harms against women by millions. Controlling for bias as well. If I can release my tool, and you can put your own data set through it, you can put whatever in that data set that you wish. You can also potentially optimize on certain tools if prompt restrictions aren't in place to break tools to exploit their biases. So putting in restrictions can help avoid some of the flaws and deficits in data sets and help biases not manifest so clearly. And then the final one is commercial. If I'm a company developing something which is incredibly valuable, has a lot of markets for monetization, maybe I don't want everyone being able to access and build on that. What's at stake? Well, quite a few things. I mean, a healthy digital society being one. We've already seen, again, how synthetic media is starting to creep into our day-to-day lives, filters changing young girls' appearances or perception of themselves, image abuse, disinformation, cybersecurity. So perhaps the balance is important to get basically a society which can function with these technologies in a more moderate way. We also have the legality of generative technologies. Many lawsuits are now being filed by artists and other entities who are worried that these models are stealing effectively from their data in training data sets, and are also worried about how these tools should be released and regulated by entities such as the EU and the UK government. And then we also have the future of open source, something which is kind of assumed or established as something which can't be questioned. People like GitHub, whose logo is here. But if we see generative models being weaponized precisely through these avenues of radical openness, we may start to see a fragmentation of those platforms and a very different view from legislators. So, thanks so much for listening, and here are some examples where generative AI kind of messes up. Thank you.